You heard that?
Hey, yo, once again, I want to welcome you to What They Do. You know, this is What They Do. We represent Miami, so in Miami, we say what they do, like, what's up, what's popping, and yeah, so What They Do. I got a special guest in the building. I'm honored for him to be here. This guy is a unique character, let me tell you, and he's unique because he's well-versed in all things DJing. You know what I'm saying? He's toured with Kelly Rowland. He's worked with BACARDI. He's the DJ for the championship Florida Panthers. He's a corporate DJ, traveling all over the world, doing stuff with BET. I mean, man, I'm so proud of him because I've known him for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to welcome to What They Do. Hey, yo, DJ Genesis.
Yo, what's up, my brother, man?
Yo,
what's going on, man? What they do, brother? What they do? Yeah. Always love, man. Always love, man.
What's good, man?
Man, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be here, man.
Man, I'm glad you're here, man.
You know, before we get started,
talk to
we gotta have manners.
All right.
You know, so I bought you some homekeeping. You know,
Okay.
I want you to unravel that. You know what I'm saying? So we show some love from the family.
Florida
you know,
Panthers.
we represent champions around here, man.
Champions?
I've known you for like 16, 17 years, and you've always had a championship mentality, you know, always preached championship type energy, especially when we did shows and stuff like that. So I just wanted you to have, you know what I'm saying, a piece of the championship energy, you know what I mean, that we celebrated this last season, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yo, that's definitely going up in the studio.
Put it up there, man.
Put it up on
Definitely.
the wall. You know, and because it's official.
Yeah, yo, stamp, man. Some things in life they can't take away from you, man. When you've worked hard and you've been a part of an organization that actually gets to the pinnacle. And obviously we've seen it. I'm not sure who your favorite sports team is and if they've had a chance to win a championship. And obviously you're, as a fan, you're looking at it and you're like, yo, obviously you feel a part of that because of your emotions and all the energy. You vested, yo. Yeah. Even if you don't spend a dime going to a game, you're vested as a fan because of all the emotions and all the time and energy that you put into rooting for the team. Now take that and being a part of the organization, you know what I'm saying, and can kind of being a face of them for the last 2.5 years. And so when you win that, you feel that, not just as a part of the organization, but in life, especially as we try to lead these championship lives.
That,
you know what I mean?
You know, I got so excited when I was introducing you that I forgot to big up my family over at Soca Chronicles out the UK. You know, they sent me some merch, and you know, go check out the merch. It's gonna be in the description of the video. Soca Chronicles, big up yourself, all my UK family.
Soca Chronicles.
But yo, let me tell you, man. Man, you know, I've known you for so long and been a part. I feel a part of your journey. You know, I mean, obviously from when you were in Miami, because you're Miami based, but from the Bronx, New York, right? And just kind of climbed your way through some of the toughness of what it is to be a DJ. You know, especially I think you especially came into the Sizwe C camp right after your stint with Kelly Rowland. What was that like, man?
That changed my perspective on what can happen in my life as a DJ. Going on tour with Kelly Rowland between the years of 2009 and 2012 changed my perspective on what I could do and what I could be as a DJ. These are my younger years, tell my years, but I'm like 24, 25 at this time. And big shout out to my cousin. Call it nepotism, I don't give a damn. But he came and obviously he knew I was starting my career in DJing. He's obviously seen a couple of sets and he was managing Kelly Rowland and Beyonce and Michelle overseas. So there were a couple of dates. He came to Miami for family vacation. We went out to a club and I had to play a main set. Obviously, he loved it. You know, took care of him. You know, you always take care of your family. Doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? And from there, he texted me. He was like, "Hey, man, we got these dates over in France and London and Dubai. Do you come through? You know, and DJ for Kelly and open up a set?" I thought he was joking at first, you know, because you know, those opportunities usually don't come to people like us that sudden, you know. But what he made me understand was whether it's family, friends, or people that have an in, you know what I'm saying, you give them the opportunity, you know, and I paid that forward. So that particular experience was eye-opening for me because it made me see what the level you can be at,
Right,
how you can be treated,
Right.
where you can stay,
Which is a big deal.
which you can't to see it. If people say to see it, when you see it, you actually can't believe it because you're living it and you're doing it. So even though it was a young age and maybe I don't know, and looking back, I can probably say, was it before my time?
Yeah.
Like it's almost saying like if I had the opportunity now, what would I do with it?
Yeah.
But I cannot. I cannot discount the experience that it gave me at that level. I didn't mess up or or do anything to the point where
I really think that those early experiences is what catapulted you to where you are today. Like the championship Florida Panthers, like we're not talking no small thing. This is a big deal. And maybe without that experience with Kelly and traveling and touring in Europe, it might not have gotten you to where you are today.
you can get gassed.
Yeah.
You can go into a situation where you're DJing for 18,000 people twice a week, 41 times out of the year. That's not including the playoffs. That's a whole nother beast that we'll talk about. Not only doing that, but you're concentrated on the dance team. You got to make sure you make the remixes and the production for them and the selection for them. That's that's okay for the organization, So, and these are coming straight out of the house right down here in Southwest Miami. These mixes that these players come out to and warm up to. All of that, and being able to do it, and being in my third year, and having the I would say the love from the organization to keep going. So what I'm saying is the experience of working with Kelly, and I got a funny story if you want to get into that.
We're going to get into it.
Is that it gave me the latitude to be able to do what I want to do with confidence.
Yeah.
Because experience is what gives you the confidence to walk in there and say, hey, guys, this is what I think we should do.
Because I'm going to tell you that I benefited, right? I benefited from your experience with Kelly and taking that into the Sizwe C move and helping me to make my performance or take my performance to another level, right? Like I think I'm a natural performer, right? But you were able to come in with a certain level of professionalism, a certain way how a song should play, right? Not to take away from the DJ that I had prior, but to say, all right, now we're going to take it to another level as it relates to production.
Because it's technique in all of this. Yeah. As much as when Kelly's performing, you can say, oh, Grammy Award winner, great vocalist, she looks good. All that doesn't matter if the song doesn't play at the right time, doesn't end at the right time, transition to the next song right way, the dancers aren't all in sync. That doesn't matter if all of that isn't a part of the show and a part of the main aspect of practice.
Yeah.
And what you're gonna do when you're gonna go on stage. So learning that when I came to your camp, and I'll never forget our first show. I believe it was one of our first shows. It's kind of we were at Ginger Bay.
Okay.
And you're like, Chris, I want to take it to this level or whatever the case may be. And I spoke to you about certain small instances just to make your show a little better. One was breathing.
Right.
And understanding how to use production in the crowd to gather yourself throughout the production, And another one was when we had a 30-minute show like we did in Boston, how to now use a song, go back, extend the song, talk to the crowd, come back to the song, end the song at a high note, give yourself about 15 seconds to breathe. The crowd is applauding, and all of those small
come back to the big record on the end.
Come back to the big record on the end, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. All of those things, I took notes. These aren't things that when I was on tour with Kelly Rowland, it was like, hey, this is what we're doing, and I got a script. I saw, I learned, I was told, I did, and I'm like, okay, I understand why this all makes sense now, not looking at it from someone that's on the television screen or someone in the crowd, but being a part of the production with Kelly in all those particular stints definitely adds to the point or adds to the experience and the skill set that I have now working with the Panthers. And now that and the funny thing is, yes, I came in, this is my third year, but I came in at a level where we had to be ready to be champions. You know what I mean? The organization, I'm not gonna lie to you, at the end of the season, we thought we were going on vacation, but they made the playoffs. And from then on, when we realized what was gonna happen, not just the team, I tell people watching on the team, but behind the scenes, everybody else gets that jubilation of like, yo, these are the things that I need to do to make sure that we are at a championship level. You know what I mean? Whether it's the mixing, whether it's the dance team making sure they're out and about greeting the fans, whether it's interaction with the fans, because you got to remember, myself, Gabby, the dance team, we're kind of like the face of the franchise down in the bowl because they can't get to the players. Yeah. There's a big glass.
No, but before we touch the Panthers, you know, not that I want to go in order.
Right.
Right. But
you know, this thing takes you places, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. You got a history, right? Because there's something unique about being from Miami, and there's something unique about being from New York. Right? You from New York or you from Miami?
Well, the Yankees lost last night, so I'm pissed. You know, it's funny. My family, in the family chat, is pretty funny because there's Knicks fans and I hate the Knicks because I'm a big Heat fan.
Right.
But I'm a big Yankee fan, you know? And I tell them, well, I'm not from New York, I'm from the Bronx. And I think people from all the boroughs in New York can kind of understand that.
They get it.
They get it. But I cannot disrespect the fact that I'm from Miami, man. I'm 305 all the way through. Everything that's a part of me is 305. Even though being from New York and having that stamp and walking those streets and breathing that air and understanding the culture of being from the Big Apple does ride through me. You know what I mean? It goes through my blood. You know what I mean? So I cannot discredit being from New York or always going back or having family from New York that always keeps you. Guyanese, of course, man. That part of it is the island energy that we get whenever we compete, whether it's Jamaican, Trini, Guyanese, or any of the small islands or that we love. But at this age and where I am and what I do, we're all one.
Yeah.
Real talk. When I represent, and even if you want to infiltrate Afrobeats into that, you know what I mean? I don't want to put everybody in the same pot. And I can say that from this corporate level because I am the culture, the Caribbean culture, and I'm born from that. So I could understand what it is on a corporate level, what to implement at certain times to represent that culture. And it doesn't always have to be whether soca, reggae, or Afrobeats. It's what fits the time, but it all represents all of us. And I think sometimes when we get in our petty fights over our islands and our flags and we want to wave them, we kind of forget that on the outside, we're all looked at kind of like as one. And I think we should represent that, especially when you get to certain levels in the corporate game.
I think that's unique, right? And I'm glad you talked about the corporate game because I want to kind of jump into, you know, you played with the Walshies, with the Willie Chins, right? You played with the Dr. Isans and I'm just naming DJs who are like soundly from Miami, right? In sound, in clash, in party, and there was a switch there, right? Like somewhere there was a switch where you went more in the corporate lane as opposed to the dance hall lane, right? And I don't necessarily mean dance hall like the music, but in the dance, right? I don't know if this is true, but to me, this seems to be a stigma as it relates to a corporate DJ and a dance hall DJ.
Okay.
Right? Is that a thing? Am I making that up? Or and why did you
switch it out?
That change?
All right, I'll answer the first question in terms of the stigma between a corporate DJ and the dance hall DJ. So you got to remember, because I've been in both worlds. What I can say is, if you are a corporate DJ and you don't know anything about the streets, whether it's hip hop, reggaeton, dance hall, soca music from all parts of Trinidad or the Caribbean, whatever way you can get the the small parts of it that, when you're deep pause when you dive into the culture, you can get these songs that can impress people and bring out small artists or whatever the case would be. On the culture, on a corporate level, what happened is you tend to stay with the mainstream. You know what I mean? You're not really diving into like what could be next or who could be next because of the trepidation that comes with that. A lot of times when people are new, they're raw. A lot of times their songs don't sound as professional. And what happened is you got to now check a lot of boxes when you're in the corporate world. You know what I mean? In terms of who's listening, who's in charge, who you're representing on a whole. In a dancehall scene, it's much smaller. You can be very much more individualized. You are playing pretty much for you and your brand. So if your brand is brash and antagonistic, and people like that, people are going to be drawn to that. But that may then be something that you can come off in the corporate world. Yeah. What I understand is, I hope that answered your first question in terms of the stigma. Well, in terms of the two.
I was asking you if that is true.
I don't think there's a stigma.
Amongst the DJs, they looking at each other like, you playing weddings, you play at the corporate events, you playing for Burger King. You know what I'm saying? And I mean corporate Burger King, not like actually in a Burger King.
This is what I would say. Behind the scenes, obviously I wouldn't call anybody out, but after a certain age, these DJs tend to call me.
Okay.
And be like,
so you're saying, so are you saying that there is a stigma, but in the long run, they looking at me like, yo, that's the flex?
I can't say that. I haven't been around them and they look at me sideways.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because they know the work that I've put in the Caribbean and in the streets, in the gully parts of South Florida, you know what I mean, and obviously the uptown parts of Fort Lauderdale, you know what I mean. But when I made the switch, a lot of people showed love and they showed the respect because they understand what that corporate market brings. Yes, we may not be able to play the most cultured or current Movado or Cartel or Machel, you know what I mean? But they understand Sizwe. Or Sizwe. Right. You know what's funny about that? Yeah. You're wrong, because I do play Sizwe in the corporate world because you do have a couple songs that fit that mold. So
stop.
You're wrong about not playing Sizwe. Hold on. So I'm gonna hold you to that because hold on. A lot of people know this, you want to throw that little curveball in there to act like you don't have tracks that I play more often than not in the arena because of the vibe that it gives and the energy that it pertains to, not only being Caribbean, but obviously the vibe that it gives. So you can't put yourself with me in that category.
Wait, I'm trying to stop you to say, you heard that? I got records that play in the arena, you understand? Because the record itself is worldly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I was stopping you. I was acknowledging the love and the respect that you giving me, saying, nah, you got records that can play
you have records, so I couldn't put you in that particular space because you have a couple records and obviously we've been a part of these records, have been in the video, whatever the case be, but I know that it fits the time, and I'm not going to get a text message or a call and be like, yo, what was that? That was like out of left field, you know what I mean? So with that, I would say there isn't a stigma for me personally because I understand both worlds, and I do my best to make sure that I implement the world of the culture, whether it's dancehall, Caribbean music, Afro beats, hip hop, and it's all us, you know what I mean? But I make sure no one's forgotten. Mm-hmm. And I feel, and I take a pride in that no one's forgotten. People talk about code switching. No, I cannot go play a Soca fet inside of the arena, but I can implement some songs that make sense. Yeah. So I encourage, because what are we growing as a culture? I encourage our artists to think about that space as well. Yeah. And don't think that you're code switching. Think about us and the DJs the DJ that plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's also from Caribbean descent. You know what I mean? So it's not like we not gonna play it or don't want to play it. We want to play it, but it has to fit the mold. And I don't want to think people are code switching or
But just
I
like
think
in a dance,
it grows your audience. That's how I
just
look
like
at
in
it.
a dance, right? The record gotta fit the set,
Right.
Like the homie DJ that's your homie or whatever the case is, he not literally not trying to play the record, right? But it has to fit in some kind of way. Like he gonna try or she might try, but it gotta fit. And so I get that.
I couldn't take the EDM records that I play when the players are coming to warm up and to get ready for the game. I couldn't go to a Soca party and be like, yo, I'm gonna play my Florida Panthers set. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
that's not the time and place. But that's not to say that there's some records that maybe Diplo does, association with Major Lazer, that may be a touch of the EDM but got the bounce of dancehall or the island vibe that you can't implement in certain songs, which work in both arenas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's honestly been my biggest, I won't say challenge, but my biggest goal is to make sure that the culture is represented, make sure that what is predominantly thought of as, hockey crowd and DJing just from a stigma standpoint. Yeah. What would you say if you were to go to a hockey game would be the music playing?
It wouldn't be soca.
Probably country, little rock.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? High-end EDM, some stuff that don't have words to it, right?
Right.
Not that that's not important because the game is so intense, but we also do live in South Florida where, as much as hockey you would want to say from a historically standpoint is a white culture, the culture in South Florida, whether white, black, all intersect, So my interaction with the music and the crowd has to be different, than per se Boston, Carolinas, Winnipeg,
Maine or something.
It's like that, you know what I mean? So I take that very seriously, and everybody loves it, man.
Yeah,
having a good time with it.
We came to a game and I was pleasantly. First of all, we went to a Panthers game and I was pleasantly surprised. I was a little intimidated by the fact that I'm going to a hockey game, right?
Funny, he's intimidated to go to hockey game. That's just the cultural
it's the
that we got to change. You know what I mean? I get
it's
you.
a stigma, right?
Yeah.
Of like you're going to a hockey game, But to be honest with you, is the most comfortable I've felt at an international sporting event that I've ever been to, whether that be a football game, basketball game, or anything else. Right? The hockey game at the Panthers, I had great seats. And the selection, although maybe it was kind of like I'm cheating because I knew like who the DJ is, I was surprised at the selection as well, And so, I think good on you for trying to bridge that gap, as it relates to who's out in the stands, where we are, and the sport.
Yeah, because even if you look in the stands and you want to say, yo, there's only these certain types of faces in South Florida, these certain types of faces are the ones that kind of get me in trouble sometimes. You know what I mean? They're the ones requesting Future and Kodak Black and these particular artists that might have songs on the edge. Not that I don't play them, but I just want people to not to think that they're requesting like Taylor Swift. Like I sometimes have to play that to kind of calm it down and be like, yo, this is family friendly. We got to think about the kids and, the supervisor upstairs and making sure that I don't get any emails. That's the corporate side of it. There's a lot of people listening to what you're doing. So you have to be very mindful of that and you can't mess up. That's it. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
No.
Yo, so I don't know if you missed it, but Buddy changed his hat. He flexing on us, right? Making sure that everybody knows that he's a champ.
If anybody knows Sizwe, they know why.
No doubt. Yeah, you got to stand up over here.
This is somebody that just stands on their square. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like if you did it, you did it.
Accomplishments, accountability. Yeah.
Nobody can't take that from you.
Right.
And I really stand on that. Like you're not gonna tell me to pat down. You're not going to tell me to humble yourself. I don't accept any of those things. Right? If I did it, I did it. You did it. You're a part of the team. And I'm super proud of what it is that you've accomplished as part of the team. Hey, nobody can't take that.
It's funny being around you and being around how you move and how you present yourself, whether it's on a random Tuesday whether I come to the house because we've known each other for a while, or whether you're on stage, bruh. It's always championship mentality, man. So a part of that, being a part of your camp, whether it's even Kelly Rowland or Sizwe, all of those moments prepared me, because it's not like when I came from Kelly Rowland, the standard dropped. There might be some lessons to be learned. You know what I mean? There might be some elevation to be had. But the vibe and the energy wasn't like, damn, Chris, bro, why are you trying to make us look like a first-class organization? Or why are you trying to make... That never came, because that's your premise, and that's your foundation of always operating at a first-class level.
You when off of the Kelly Rowland thing, it was like you were exactly what we needed. You know what I mean? Like, because I had a vision, because I live out here, man. I live in the world with the 50s and the pre-Diddies, you know? You know what I'm saying? I live in the world where, like, it's about the show, you know? And I've always wanted to elevate that and do better. And I knew that there was always room for improvement, and I wanted people around me who could help make that improvement, right? Everything for the show. You know, before you, I wasn't really rehearsing like that. You know, I would just come and do the show, you know? And then you were like, nah, we have to sit down and plan it, right? It's not a thing where, like, you just come and do something. I mean, you can, but it's going to show within the show.
And I brought that because you got to understand that that's the first time I started to understand that things are corporate. Mm-hmm. It ain't fly by night. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It ain't, yeah, I'm talented. Just come get this talent on however I feel like giving it to you on this particular night.
Yeah.
No, there's a reason why these artists go around and they do things, the same thing 4 times in a night. Yeah, granted, you get to that level, the same show, because it's exhausting. Yeah. And people are paying money. You know what I'm saying? That's the bottom line. People are paying money to come see you, bro. So you need to perform. So everybody, from an efficient standpoint, breaks down this show as efficient that they can live, and you can get your money, and then we can move on to the next one alive. Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's, I think, sometimes was the difference when I moved from, we would call it the streets, you know what I'm saying, into corporate. You had to know how to be a part of a team. Mm-hmm. When you're in the streets and you're on a flyer, it's you versus everybody, kind of, sort of. Yeah. That's the difference in the mentality. Yeah. I'm playing against so-and-so. All right, he gonna bring these vibes, so I gotta bring these vibes. Yo, 500 people gonna be there. Yo, I'm gonna play my newest dub plate or this next single to put me on. Yeah. At this point, you're not thinking about the promoter. You can care less. Yeah, care less. I'm putting you on because I'm big. Yeah. When you move into the corporate sector, whether it's a wedding, whether it's playing for Bacardi, you have to be able to be a team player and understand what your role is in this big production. Right.
So listen, you said, I'm sorry to cut you, right? But you talked about the streets, you know. Do you miss the streets? Like, do you miss, like, earlier we talked about the dance hall? Like, do you feel like, damn, yo, I don't know if I could even go into the you know?
We always, you know, it's funny when you're young and there's nothing more energetic than DJing in a dance hall party. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. The forwards that you get when you land the right song on the right rhythm, you know, at the right time, and the energy that music gives you. But unless you dive into the culture and you go on tour and you're in the record industry and you're an artist really brandishing yourself, it's hard to really make a living off of just DJing dance hall parties. I'm gonna keep it a buck, you know what I mean? These guys, when promoters are not in it to give guys $1,000, $1,500 a night. I'm sure some of these sounds have worked their way up to that, but I wasn't there, you know what I mean? I'm in a saturated market in South Florida playing in this particular world. Moving out of it gave me my own niche, and it gave me a space where even people in the dancehall and Soca Caribbean world saw me transition.
Wait, hold that. Money Vibe said that it's hard for him to get a check in the party. Is it hard for you to get a check in the cover world?
I ain't been robbed a day in my life, like Hope said, but I ain't been robbed a day in my life. I'm not.
Submit the invoice.
Submit the invoice. I get paid.
Word.
And this has been from when I made the switch. I never forget when I made the switch, yo. It was a night. It was Willie Chin's birthday party. I can't remember. It was 2010 or 11 or whatnot. And I was supposed to do a set with one MC. I ended up getting rushed doing a set with another DJ, another MC. It threw off my whole vibe, you know what I mean, and energy or whatever the case may be. And I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. It felt like and I felt like within friends or whatnot, it was a bad move on my part, but it was something that told me, you know what? I don't think I want to put myself in this position again. You know what I mean? This particular world, as much as it's dope to watch, and those that do it, I respect the hell out of them, bro, because I understand the energy, the bod mind, everything that goes into this particular world, yo. Yeah. You know, even if you're shining at the brightest, it's tough. Yeah. You know what I mean? And maybe it was something that I didn't want to deal with anymore. You know what I mean? I'm fed up. It's not me. You know what I mean? I'm not soft, but I'm not in that particular combative type of confrontational energy or whatever the case would be, which can always come up. We've been in situations where, you know, you gotta go represent your talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, enough.
And so out of that, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of done with that, and I kind of moved into the corporate space, which was beneficial for me because there were other Caribbean people making moves in the corporate space that needed to talk the same language, whether it was via email or face-to-face, that understood, yo, this is what I need, you know what I mean? And can you provide this? And I'm like, I can do this because you're growing up with your aunties. They listen to soul. They listen to the dance hall. They listen to everything. And I'm like, I want to be that's when I changed my mind. I'm like, I need to be the most versed DJ that can be around.
Word. So I cut you off and I said something. So going back to it, are you saying that it's not that you feel like you miss the streets and miss the dance and miss the party and miss the soca fete? It's not that. It's more of it was a lane that you were in. You appreciate that. Maybe you feel like you can go in there and still do your thing. Maybe not as deep as maybe the next one.
Right.
But it served a purpose in your life, and now you're on to things that are just kind of more
balanced.
Yeah, more balanced.
And I mean, at this age, when you get up into your years, and I've been doing this 20 years now, you know, when you get there, you want to be home at 11 o'clock.
Word.
Am I lying, y'all?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The young guys, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, get your grind on. You know what I mean?
It reminds me of a time when, you know, you say you want to be home at 11 o'clock. It reminds me of a time when we was out performing and you yelled at me in front of everybody.
I remember
at a performance because we were done and I was kind of like liming. And he was like, yo,
what are we doing?
To go, man. What are we doing? I'm like, okay. Nah, I get it.
And funny enough, at that time, we were both part of the culture. Yeah. But coming off of where I've been and what I've done, I guess patience was short. And I'm like, I don't got time to waste just hanging out. Yeah, you know what I mean? Liming and just talking. Because I'm like, none of this. We've done the show. We get crazy reviews. But then again, I'm not the artist like you. You're probably getting love. People showing you love on how great your show was. And I ain't gonna lie to you. That night my fuse was short. It was like a Wednesday night of Carnival week, and we had a whole slate of things to do.
Yeah.
And my fuse was short.
Super busy.
We were busy. We were
two
busy.
or three shows a day.
I think we went and we did like the morning fete right after that.
I think we did Rise and Shine.
And I think at that point, and at that time, I wasn't like just doing this full. I had a job, you know, and I think we can. And so I think my fuse was just short. Yeah. We didn't eat, you know.
And Chris was yelling at me in front of everybody.
And funny enough,
in front of Ricardo Drew. God rest in peace, Ricardo Drew,
and the whole crew.
You know, everybody was outside. Lorena Davis. Oh man, One Voice.
I apologize for that, but you know what? Respect to you as my friend for understanding.
You packed it up.
Not coming back at me. Absolutely. And not standing on the square or feeling like you needed to like bat me down, and I apologize to you before that, of course, but I think how you handle that, especially if people know who Sizwe is, they probably would have expected a different
now what you
return,
see, I value
but we're here though.
I value you. I valued you then, and I value now your time. And I understood too that, like, you know, as I was telling CJ Clicks who is
Shout out to CJ Clicks, you know what I mean? These lights are bright in here.
Kind of organizer of what we got going on right now. Just saying that like a lot of these things wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you, right? And of course, he said it back to me like, nah, like it wouldn't happen if it wasn't for you. But you see, these things, you know, people say there's a cliche and they say like, oh, there's no I in team and that. It's cliche, but it's the truth, right? Things only happen when people are vested. Right? You have to recognize that they are vested. You have to recognize that they are here with you. Because oftentimes, even today, oftentimes, I feel alone, right? I feel like nobody else don't see what it is that I'm trying to do and how much it takes for it to happen, you know? And when you have good people around you, you got to value that. So if the good person is frustrated, you got to listen to that, right? Because they're not only are they there, but they're helping you live your dream, right? This is my dream. And for you to say, yeah, boy, says, I have you, I'm going to do this for you.
Time, yeah.
Right? You can't take that for granted.
I'm a piggyback on that particular statement right there at this level here. When you and I were doing it and when you're thinking like, yo, Genesis is going to show me love and he's here because he's committed to the project. You know what I mean? No limelight, no money, no real money or whatever. This is the project and this is what we love. And sometimes you have to do the project, bro. You got to do that because you love the art. That's the only way the art grows and continues. Mm-hmm. If we start and we continue on a path of I'm doing everything for money, you know what I'm saying? We'll never grow. And I think sometimes in this whole Instagram, world of like everybody feels that they can be on by whether editing one video or DJing one party. That's not how it goes. It's the humility in it too. And I'll talk this up, you know, coming off of the Kelly Rowland tours and that particular energy, I didn't come to you and was like, well, yo, Sizwe, bro, yo, you got to do this. And I need this particular equipment. And I'm like, whatever I learned from that particular production is what I need to be able to instill into my culture and my people coming up. Mm-hmm. That's literally the definition of each one teach one. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Facts.
You don't get to the level of being on tour with these Grammy Award winning artists and then say I'm here. I didn't win a Grammy. My job is to come and try to instill information so that you can possibly win one because I've learned from one. You know what I mean? And those are the things that are important to me because of, the values that I've learned from my mom and my father. You know what I mean? You help everybody, bro. Those that are in help and those that just need you. They may not be in help, but they may need you at a certain point. And you are always in a position to lend a helping hand. And in that, you get back the knowledge that you need to be able to help those. So you asked me a question earlier about whether I miss the culture.
Yeah.
Whether I miss the streets. I'm trying to help the streets now because of the position I'm in. Right. I'm not thinking about DJing or DJing in the small mom and pop shops that I did when I learned in my career. I'm trying to get those guys to be able to DJ at the arena, in front of the arena, big production, because of where I'm able to go, because of the help of other Caribbean people that put me in this position. For instance, my boy Nico, that put me in the position to be the DJ for the Florida Panthers, Zopound. You know what I mean?
Sack Passage.
You know what I mean? Real talk. Mm-hmm. He came to me after I did a couple he was working with the Dolphins. I did an event with a corporate company, White Coats and Cocktails, there at the Dolphins facility. He loved it. We got in contact. I did his wife's birthday party. He loved how I interacted with him in terms of getting to know who was going to be there, what vibe you wanted, how long it was going to be, the structure of your program. I'm very detailed when it comes to these things, especially when you, as the person trying to book me, are trying to be intentional.
Yeah.
Especially for somebody you love.
Yeah, facts.
And it moved from that, bro, to him moving from the Dolphins to the Panthers.
Yeah.
And he messaged me and was like, I'm going to try to see if I can get you to be the DJ for the Panthers. We've heard a lot of Hollywood talk. I'm sure you've heard a lot of Hollywood talk in your day, right?
I'm going to do that.
Right.
I'm going to do this.
And at that age, I'm like, I appreciate it. If it comes through, it comes through. Cool. Unfortunately, in that time of him messaging me initially, and when I got it, my dad. So we're talking March. We're in 2024. We're talking March of 2022 or so. My dad passed, and I don't care about life. In a sense.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't care about nothing anymore, bro. Nothing. I'm numb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And not only that, I had my aunt passed a month after. Yeah. A good friend from the church passed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm numb at this point. Let's say June, July. I'm like, yo, just wake up tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'm sure a lot of you went through situations like that. And rest in peace to anybody that lost anybody that they love. But God works in mysterious ways when you're just good, when you're good people. You know what I mean? My dad passes in March. I get the invitation to now get on calls to be the DJ for the Panthers in August. And I get on those calls. I meet Mike. We speak. He asks me for a couple things. This isn't a draw or like or an audition where there's like 3 or 4 people. It's me. You know, representing this particular vibe.
Yeah.
And I send him all the things that he needed, and
boom,
they love it, and I'm in. And honestly, at that moment, because I've gone through what I've gone through earlier in the year, I'm literally just, and maybe it's a good thing because God doesn't make any mistakes, that I was just able to go in there uber focused. I wasn't like, you know, flabbergasted by the fact that
you also felt like you had nothing to lose neither.
When you lose a parent, bro, there is nothing to lose. What can this organization do for me? I just lost my dad.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Definitely.
What the 18 DJ in front of 18,000 people don't matter. I just lost my dad.
Small thing. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the mentality.
Your world.
My world. This is the first person that taught me how to be all these things. Integrity, you know, making sure you show up and make sure you are who you are, the confidence, seeing him. My dad honestly packed. I seen my dad for a Christian celebration pack the Miami Arena when I was young. He did it as if you want to call it, the promoter of this particular event. 12,000 men in the Miami Arena, you know what I mean, for a particular event. And I was about 9, 10 then. Seeing that, not understanding what he did until now. When I'm behind the scenes of like, yo, there's mad production that goes into these particular big events.
Yeah, you know, I think as we grow, we just have a unique experience, or we have a unique perspective based off of our history.
Yes.
Right? It's just things that we've seen, and as we grow, we're just able. It sounds like, you know, like old time, but it's the truth. Like the older you get, the more wise and the more wisdom you have. You know, from your vantage point, like where you stand on the international scene, right? Also knowing that you represent GT, and you have some soca bass and reggae bass. The artists who are in my position, who might be in maybe a higher positions, what do you think they're lacking, if they're lacking anything? Is like, how do we bridge this gap between international music that stands up by itself and then soca and these soca artists who, for the most part, have to be introduced, right? The music has to be introduced as, this is soca, this is what it is, and Carnival, and this explanation. And then, you know, the people will like, they love it, you know. But how from your vantage point, what needs to happen in that space?
So this is where it can get tricky, you know, in terms of people standing on their square from their cultural and cultural biases in terms of like what we love and what we need in terms of like the music to move forward, you know. And I think sometimes at a base, it has to do with the people consuming the music, and feeling that if you don't stick to the culture and if you don't stick to this particular type of rhythm and rhyme, you're code switching. And I think that's something that we have to come out of. For an example, Palance. which probably, you guys are Trini here, arguably the biggest, one of the biggest soca songs in the last 15, 20 years, right?
Sure.
Plants gets played in big arenas, whether it's the Miami Heat Arena. I've heard it at Dolphin Stadium. Hard Rock Stadium. Heard it in New York. And when I get in a dance, or I see memes, or I see our culture say, yo, tired of that song, yo. Y'all don't got nothing else to play? Yo, what happened to these new artists, or whatever the case would be? And I think that's a fundamental problem that we have, where we have to have a foundation.
Throw it away.
We throw out our hits because it's too big.
Yeah.
Kevin Little. Turn me on.
Kevin.
The reggaeton world would never tell you that Daddy Yankee's Gasolina is too big for you to play today. And Gasolina is probably the biggest reggaeton track of all time.
Yeah.
So as a culture, we can't go to dance hall parties and throw away Sean Paul because he made a couple international records. We have to embrace that. And when we embrace it, it gives the next generation be like, yo, I can make those songs too. But if you throw them away in our, quote unquote, for this podcast, street parties as well, and be like, yo, they made it too. It's almost like if you get too corporate, we can't rock with you no more, yo. So what happens is the artists coming up say, I can't do that, or my people gonna reject me. And it's always the check versus, your people in the crowd. And I'm like, why can't we do both? Why don't reggaeton artists have fest, or why don't reggaeton artists just do parties in the random backyards, kind of like how we do dance hall parties and the artists will show up. They do arenas, bro.
Yeah, arenas.
Because the foundation of their music is not disrespected. You know what I mean? They're going to bring out Daddy Yankee. They're going to bring out Nina Sky. So and they're going to keep those records hot.
What all we need to do is just stand on our shit, our stuff.
No, if you stand on it, but you have to represent when you got a hit. And follow that as well. There has to be a market for hits as well. That's international and that can move people other than those that's going to Carnival. You know what I mean? You got to be, and I'm not saying that these artists can't do that. I think there's sometimes a pride thing or feeling that you may need to conquer your particular genre in your world, whether it's Carnival, whether it's making sure you win, dance hall artist of the year right now, whatever the case would be. And saying this is enough to be international. Y'all take me as I am. I don't think, I do think when Fat Man Scoop, rest in peace, calls the EDM DJ and says, hey man, I want to get on a hype record with you. The hip hop community is not pissed off that Fat Man Scoop went and made this major record with these EDM. Lil Jon does it. He's expanding his crowd. Usher does it.
But the Caribbean community is what?
I'm just saying I haven't seen it. I've seen it a little bit because of DJs. Walshy Fire moving in with Diplo and Major Lazer giving him the stamp to be like, yo, we can really rock this Caribbean vibes because, you know what I'm saying, you're here and I'm going to dip into that kind of crossover energy. I am in a crossover lane. You know what I mean? No, I can't go deep into your traditional soca or sometimes your traditional dancehall, other than the hits that are international. Global.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if I get crossover tracks, they like that energy on top of these other productions. You know what I mean? Floatin is a UK artist. He got that deep art, and he's on EDM tracks with Skrillex or so on and so forth. He would also sound good if he flowed with Bungie Garlin, I think, as a collaboration. But we have to, I don't know how these things work behind the scenes, if it's allowed, if people are trying, but I would say I would like to see more crossover collaborations that don't have traditional Caribbean production. But the energy from the artist makes all the difference in the world. I remember I tried to tell you this. I was like, Sizwe, you doing soca? I'm not sure you are where you want to be or whatever the case may be, but you have a voice and you can DJ that you can be on so many different records that crossover, whether it's EDM, international, whatever the case may be, because I've been around you and I'm hearing all these other guys do this thing, and I'm like, yo, take a peek. I don't know how that gets started.
Yeah.
I don't know where that conversation starts, but I know it's helpful
when
those particular records are produced and done.
Cool Blaze. We got some wicked projects coming that are
All right.
that are way more international sounding.
Ask Cool Blaze who taught him how to DJ.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't want no
just
drama.
A little, I got two drinks. I got two drinks I'm working on. So the truth sauces come out.
Yeah. Big up to LL Cool Blaze. But I think you're right. You brought up Kevin Little, and let me just say that Kevin Little's a living legend, and not just because I know him and I have a relationship with him, but because the proof is in the pudding.
He might be on the show next. Who knows?
Yeah, no. We definitely spoke, and he's got a new record out, so we definitely gonna try to get him on. But I do sometimes be like what, this is Kevin Little.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I can remember being, and I'm gonna talk to him about it when we get him on. I can remember being in Colorado, right? Living in Colorado Springs, turning on the radio, and Turn Me On come on the radio, right? And I'm saying, I didn't press CD, like I pressed FM, right? And when I look, it was FM radio.
Playing this
and
man's
me
record.
saying like, yo, mad, And so I can't wait to have it because I want to ask him the same thing.
I'm gonna ask you, I know I'm being interviewed, but I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Why the Caribbean don't embrace it all the time in our spaces as much as the radio stations, the international radio stations, and those people internationally that love his record or whatever the case may be. Call it what you want, white people or whatever the case may be. Why is it that we don't take that and say, yo, Kevin, what did you do, bruh? Or what is it that when you get a record like this, you can expand it? I don't know if Kevin got lucky, but I'm just saying we throw it away in our culture, and no one can tell me, not one DJ can't tell me that we don't.
Yeah.
I've been in this space, bruh.
Yeah.
I'll play it over in the arena. Obviously, everyone is an international record, but why do we throw it away? When Sean Paul gets big, why do we throw away some of them international records? Because he's too big now. He's garnished fame, and he don't represent the struggle anymore.
Yeah.
But how do we get out the struggle? We can't complain about the struggle if we're not representing or or mimic or emulate those that gotten out of it.
Yeah. No, facts.
Sean Paul does mad international records with different people, whatever the case may be. You could start it at the street level.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, facts.
So I think sometimes there's a stubbornness to, we got to represent for our people, because when I get in the conversations in the kitchen, with my auntie them and the people on the radio, they're going to say, oh, boy, you're cool with switching, and, boy, you're not representing for we, and all these particular things. Or are you representing for us because we're trying to garnish bigger audience?
Yeah.
So I think it takes time for the artist to say, hey, yo. And I'm not saying that you don't do 9 other records that represent your people, but you could do 2, 3 that I can play in the arena, so people can come and be like, yo, what's that? Who's that?
Last thing I want to ask you, right? And again, it's not really that I want to ask you. I'm just picking your brain, right?
Okay, no problem.
From your vantage point again, right? And,
we got time. Forget this timer, bro. We rolling.
And I hold you like up here.
Appreciate that, brother.
From your vantage point, Soca, right, specifically, it's not really a genre. And when I say I gotta be careful, because I don't want to get canceled.
Hey, you know what I mean?
Right? Soca is a genre.
Be careful.
In the world of music, right? In the world of Spotify and iTunes and all the things, right? Do you think that it will ever get its rightful place?
Boy. If you don't think it has its rightful place now, it would take the only way I think that Soca, because Soca is such a happy music, when people around the world, other than us that invoke it every day in our lives, they feel a vacation. They listen to it when they, at a resort. You know, when they got their little Bahama shirt on with the palm trees and the dolphins and the fly colors when they're on vacation with their kids. It is not a music that I have seen from a consistent standpoint outside of those from the culture that can be ingested like consistently.
By outside people.
Outside people. Ingested consistently. Like every day. Like I turn the radio on.
Can it get there?
Can it get there? I think it would possibly have to change. I think some parts of soca can probably change. For instance, Marshall featuring Pitbull kind of crosses over. I know it's a Calabria rhythm, but it's a soca artist. I think it would possibly have its moments. I remember when Bungie Garland's record was on the end of a movie. Like, what movie was it, bro? And I thought I was
Can't remember.
Can't remember. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yo, that's huge.
Yeah.
But I think soca music, and sorry to say, is momentarily. It's momentary. You know what I mean? We will always have it in niche. There's all of these carnival. Remember, soca has its place though. Yeah. There's a year-long carnival. Yeah. You know, that goes on whether from Trinidad all the way through Miami and all the other parts of the world, where the soca community concentrates a lot of its time and energy throughout the year because that's when it's promoted the most. But to say, am I gonna hear Skinny Fabulous on a top 5 record on Billboard? Am I gonna hear Mosh?
Are you trying to say that you don't think it'll ever happen?
I didn't say it would never happen. I said I feel it will be momentary.
Yeah.
Something would happen in the culture of the world, i.e., the World Cup.
Yeah.
A record comes out, which is usually international.
Yeah.
You get a soca artist on there.
Yeah.
The song goes to number 1.
Yeah.
That's what I mean in terms of momentary.
Yeah.
But in terms of the genre and it having a run, let's say in pop music, let's say like Afrobeats, I really want it to.
Yeah.
I would love it to. But it's such a happy, upbeat, fast-paced music that's always talking positive. Yeah. You know,
I think
that it comes off momentary, and I'm not disrespecting any, because we all love soca music. Yeah. When we go to carnival, like for instance, I had a friend. I've never been to carnival before. Can you take me? I took her to Viva La Carnival. Shout out to Cool Blaze and the people that run that.
I remember that.
You know what I mean?
I remember her.
Right? And so I took her. So she's never.
I do. I remember her.
Good. No lames around me, Sizwe. And so I took her. She's not from the culture, you know, and she's like, yo, I loved it. But if she heard soca every single day, it wouldn't be a experience for her. So we got to either say, yo, we want to be international, we want to run the charts, and we're going to change some things, or you know what? We're going to be niche for people that love our culture and for those that want to see and want to be a part of it that have never experienced it as well.
Okay.
Which is also okay. But you have to be okay with either or. You can't do one thing and say, I'm not going to try to expand or, you know, change my game a little bit to reach the international world and then be like, yo, they not accepting me, bro. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
No, I get it. I get it. 100%.
Reggae has a hard time too. As much as that's, I would feel more of an international everyday sound from the roots of Bob Marley and, you know what I'm saying? And these guys that laid the foundation for that. It's not every day you hear just new dancehall or current dancehall being played, you know, in all international spaces. Yeah. They tend to stay to the, you know, Bob Marley's of the world, the 90s dancehall, and some of these cultural rhythms. Mm-hmm. So even in that particular space, you can come out and do some things with other production that can possibly cross over. And then more of a range of people know who you are and then can possibly tap into your native cultural music.
Mm-hmm. Yo, Chris, man, there's so much more I want to talk to you.
No, keep going, bro. Like, you can chop this, screw this, bro.
No,
what are you talking about? You tired? What's going on, man?
I'm tired. It's just that, you know, we have a certain amount of space. So all that means, though, is I get to bring you back. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I have so much that
we haven't even tapped into behind the scenes on what happens in the organization. Because I think a lot of people want to know, like, what happens behind the snes in terms of, like, do they give you the music?
Yeah.
Do you play it yourself? You know what I mean? Why haven't you gotten a ticket yet? You know what I mean? And how that list is very long.
I don't know if it's not called set of court, but like, you know, why am I not on the on the ice. You know what I'm saying? Nah.
I will say that. I will say this. I can't promise it, but I will work on it.
Man.
You're a veteran.
Yep.
Salute.
Thank you.
We represent veterans every single night. Call it heroes. Heroes among us. And I'm going to do my part to make sure that you're represented as one of our heroes among us. As something from your brother to you, it's something that I can possibly make happen. And you, your family will come through, possibly get a jersey, be on the ice, represented as Officer Collins for all the hard work that you do behind the scenes outside of soca music. Yeah. I think there's a sacrifice and an energy to veterans that sometimes we don't even know, especially young veterans as well. A lot of times we celebrate those that are 75, 85, 90, 100 years old. But there's young veterans that sacrifice a lot of time and energy. Talk your joint,
22 years.
Talk your joint.
What I'm saying? And so, I was honored by the Miami Heat, and I was able to bring my son center court with me. And I think it's important for the next generation to see us same way we were able to see people do certain things, to see us in those spaces. When I'm intentional about bringing my nephew to see me DJ in front of everybody, in front of the stage, and to see me in the gear and my jersey, because that's what they remember. They're not gonna remember the conversation or the emails or one of the things that we go through. It's a level of excellence that they get to experience on a personal level, right? You can see this one on TV and that one on TV but it's nothing like, my uncle, right?
Oh, my dad,
my mother.
This is in the house.
You understand?
You can't run from this.
Yeah, it shows them a level of, bro, you could play around if you want to.
Fair enough.
But you will always be Uncle Chris. I will always be Uncle Chris to you, right? And I will always be, that's my dad. And at some point, you need to make a lane for yourself, right? Or continue to be Uncle Chris's nephew.
And the reasons why I make sure, whether I bring my nephew to these particular events or you bring your son to these particular events, all goes back to the reason I am who I am from that Kelly Rowland tour. Mm-hmm. I saw it.
Yeah, you saw it.
You can't say you can't do it if you didn't see it. Yeah, you can say you can't do it if you ain't seen it. Yeah. I could understand it. Yeah. But if you saw it, you can't talk to me now. Yeah. We've laid the foundation. You've seen the levels. We can talk about what it takes to get there. Yeah. You know what I mean? At a later date when you can understand. But you can't say that you haven't or you're not around somebody that's done it.
Nah, facts. Yeah, I'm right here. Yo, Chris, man.
We right here.
We right here, man. Let me tell you, man, I'm so proud of you, my brother.
Thank you, bro.
And all that you have accomplished. You're an example to me. You're an example to my family. You're an example to the rest of my friends. You're an example to the Caribbean diaspora. You're an example to those young men and women who come out of the Bronx, out of New York. You're an example to those who come out of right here, out of Kendall, out of Southridge, out of P. Ryan, out of Cutler Ridge, out of Goulds, right? Out of Homestead, right? Out of Miami, Port of Miami.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? Fort Lauderdale, Miramar. No, you're an example as to what excellence is. I'm glad I've had you onto the podcast and represent for Miami. You know what they do.
What they do, man. This how we do it in 305. And I think it's always important to make sure that, you know what I mean, you could be rough around the edges. You can come from these places. You could DJ in the most gully places in the city. Facts. But you could still be refined and you can still come out shining, and you can have this to represent for the latter part of you. And this isn't it. You know what I mean? The Panthers are not the winning championships with the Panthers is not the last thing that I have on my docket, you know what I mean? So
for championship number 2,
you know what I mean?
Back to back, we definitely supporting that. Definitely supporting you. As I said, I got so much more to talk to you about.
Yo, we gonna be back, man. There's a lot to talk about that we didn't die. This was like the covers, the cover, the makeup, the cover story. Trust me, if and when you have me back, we're gonna dive in. We're gonna dive into some more things.
I want to talk about mental health. I want to talk
Right.
about what it is to be a man. I want to talk about what it is to be a man in our culture.
In our culture, in our space
In
as
our
entertainers,
space, and
all these
different
particular things.
you
Yes,
know?
sir.
What it takes to be where you at. You know, we just surface level today, but what it takes to be you for Jay, for this one or for that one. You know? So once again, it's your friend Sizwe. I got Chris Genesis in the building. You know, he's a champion. He's a beacon, at least in my life. And I'm grateful for his presence. I'm grateful for what he's brought to me. And I hope that he brought you some today. You know what I'm saying? So what they do, once again, it's a friend. Yeah. Sizwe C.
Always love, man. Always
Peace.
love. Peace.